Hey everybody, RC here. Welcome back to another edition of Let's Play Dwarf Fortress Anviltrumpets. This is episode 7. I've been gone out of town for a work meeting for a few days, so just kind of getting back. So I'm going to go back up using my hotkey, if you remember that. F1 brings me to my entrance, and just kind of refresh myself with what's going on. So we've got our entrance. We've got some stockpiles set up. We had dug the extra room over here to get some of our animals into it. And we had opened up this initial stockpile area to create our entryway to dig further into the mountain. And it appears, okay, so this was going to be my first area of shops. So I'm going to hit Shift H to go back to my hotkeys. I'm going to hit F2 and you'll notice that the hotkey 2 is now lit up. I will hit Z to lock that in to this area, and then I will hit N to name it, and this will be our shops area, and we'll escape to get out of there. And we've designated this area to dig, and so we will open that up and our diggers will start heading this way. Let's see, just checking our reports, hitting the R button and then enter on the one I want to look at. So we've got a gray langur that was attacking, and I'm going to zoom to that location. Alright, so this is in the water. This is if I use the shift comma to go up a level. So this is one level down in the water, and we can click here. We have some langur blood. I don't see any corpses. That's what I was worried about, that maybe our dwarf got knocked in and drowned, but it does not appear to be the case. And you'll notice now that I have those two hotkeys, I can hit F1 to get to the top, and F2 goes right to my shops. So just with that real quick click of a button, we can bounce around the map pretty quickly. Let's see, we were working on a bridge to cross the river. So this is my bookkeeper. Okay, so he's the one that was fighting with the gray langurs earlier, and you can see the gray langur running around. He gets a blue exclamation point. That means he's running in fear. Doesn't mean he won't fight though. They're more non-aggressive. They're coming in trying to steal things. Let's see. All right, our carpenter shop. Let's see, we have two people idle, our woodworker and our stone crafter. Well, our woodworker is because he is hurt, and you may recall he is in traction. Oh, wait a minute, he is not there anymore. So let me go to U for units, my woodworker, and Z to zoom to him. And I'm looking for the yellow cursor up here. Okay, so he is walking around. I want to go to my health screen, so we're going to go to the Z screen, left and right arrows to get to health, and then enter. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so we still have 7 people. Alright, so it looks like they were able to fix his leg. If I Q onto him, or K. Alright, let's look at our tab, because that's a new button that we haven't used before, that we've talked about. K is to look, so we're going to hit K, and I want to look at my woodworker. Now there's two things in this square. We have bamboo and one of our dwarfs. So you can use your plus and minus keys to scroll through those. And then once we have highlighted the one, you notice that changes. We can follow them with a Shift F. We can view them. So I'm going to hit enter. I want to look at H for health. No health problems. And then I'm using left to right to move across. So wounds, no treatment, and a history. Alright, so he was evaluated, cleaned, evaluated again, placed in traction, evaluated, received a dressing, sutures, evaluated, brought to rest in a bed, and let's see, and then you use 8293. Alright, cleaned a splint, several evaluations, cleaned again. Well, the doctor was pretty thorough in evaluating him, wasn't he? Alright, well, that is actually really, really good news that he was able to fully recover. I was expecting with the compound fracture that we might get some infection since we don't have soap to clean out the wounds. I was concerned he was going to die, or he was going to be permanently impaired from his walking ability and would have to use a crutch the rest of his life. But he does not have a wound at all, so that healed perfectly. So that is awesome news. Alright, so we've got it unpaused. He is working to let's see, general, to construct the building. So what we should see is this should change in just a minute to some kind of work in progress. There you go. And he's finishing it up. And again, what this will do is this will give access to the western side of the river. And there you go, another step in the construction process. If you were paying attention when we built the initial bridge, you notice it turned into like little circles, like the pillars of the support structure. All right, and there's our bridge. So our bridge is done. Now this is a bridge we're not going to hook up to a lever. We could, but it's not going to be anything of urgency for that, because that's not the protection. If an attack came from this side of the river, that bridge does us no good. What this was for mainly, just to refresh your memories, is if we get trade caravans or migrants that appear on this side of the river, the west side, it gives them a way to cross the water and get into the fortress. So that's what we were worried about. Alright, so let's see, pause it real quick. Our miners have now dug out the hallway, so I want to now get them into digging out the actual shops. So let's do this. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple of things here. So I'm going to hit D for designate, and then this Shift M is to toggle standard marking. Okay, so I'm going to show you down here. So right now I can go dig, so I'm going to hit D for mine, and I can set an area, and you see it's brown. Okay, now if I hit Shift M and then I go back and go over that same area, it turns blue. So what you can do with this is plan out your areas, but the dwarves will not dig out any section that's in blue. So what I can do here is I can make all three of these blue, and then I can Shift M to turn that off, go back to D, and I can open that area, and you see it's brown again. And then you can use X. Now the problem is, once you've designated an area as blue, it will stay blue in that spot until you remove it. Now, if I remove designation, where I erase this, and I don't know if you caught last time, I had hit this spot by mistake. So watch, we're going to hit X, and we're going to go over that spot, and it takes it away forever until we replace it. I can do that here, but it will still be blue internally. So I need to go back to Shift M, come back here, enter, and cover that section, turn it back brown, and now I can go to X, and I can now delete that section. So what I've done here is now I've dug an entryway, so they will dig into here and they will clear out these three rooms, but they have no access to this other section. And so I'm going to Shift M because I'm going to want to do the same thing. And again, it's just like when you're digging. So I'm hitting enter twice just to do one spot, because that's all I want is that one spot. Okay, now I'm going to hit Shift M again to send it back from marking, which is the blue, back to standard. So if you ever see something in blue, that is what you have hit, and they will not dig through that. And so you may be wondering, why are they not doing any of the work I've asked them to do? So we're going to unpause it, let them get back started. So here cut. Now they can only have one person, and then once they get into the room, then the second person will have access to a spot to dig in. So they'll go knock that out. And what we're going to do is put in our first couple of shops. So while they're doing that, let's come up and let's clear out the Dwarf shop. I don't want that outside, so we're just going to hit X to remove the building, and now it's slated for removal. And we're going to do the same thing for the mason shop. Now I'm going to leave the woodworking shop outside because it's closer to the wood for right now, but eventually I will move that back inside. All right, so they've dug out our first room, so we're going to build a workshop, W, and we want to build that mason's shop that we just destroyed. Outside, that's the M. We're going to center it in this room, enter. It takes some type of building material, stone or wood. I usually try to use the closest. A lot of people will try to color coordinate the stone. I don't have that much patience to do that. So, you know, if having mixed matched stone buildings and stuff upsets you, my apologies. You'll be upset at me and cursing at your screen during my videos a lot probably. All right, now they're almost done with here. So what I want to do is I want to D and D, and then I'm going to come down. Now you're noticing I'm using my mouse when I'm individually if I just want a particular site. It's a little bit quicker than using the cursor, but if you're designating an area like a room or a hallway or something like that, then using the cursor is quicker. But for individual spots, you know, the mouse is definitely much quicker. So because it's farther away than where they are at, they should finish this, and then they'll move down to that area. Now again, only one was designated, so one miner came this way. The other miner took off to go, you know, shoot around a pool or something. Now once he's finished whatever he's doing, then this area is now open. He will come back and do something. Let's see what he is doing. So we have he's eating. So, you know, as soon as he's done eating, this will open back up. Let's see, Gray Langer. So this is where the fight occurred, and anytime that R shows up, that reports, that's combat reports, that red R. So something new has happened. So you just kind of keep an eye on that through your, you know, during your playing, because you notice now that we viewed the report, the new report, it's gone. Now, so if something else shows up, I know something new has happened. All right, so they have not built this yet, and that was my mason shop. And then here we have an event that triggers. So you notice I did not change that. It jumped here itself. And here's this flashing X on top of Udib Gomathodon, a butcher. So he's not the only person, but we don't know yet how many people we have, so we'll watch. But it's a good thing we built this bridge, because look where he appeared, on the west side of the river. He could not get across, and they would sit over there and starve to death until I built a bridge or dug some kind of access tunnel under the river to give them access to the fortress side. So we built the bridge, so when I unpause it, they should come across automatically. And again, you notice it jumped to this automatically when we got this notice here at the bottom that some migrants have arrived. If you are attacked you have an enemy force that arrives, it will jump to that section as well. So it will pause the game, jump to that section as basically a double notification that there's something you have to handle. Now, actually, I just thought of something, because right now these migrants will not move, and here's why. You have to have a meeting place set up. Now, the initial default meeting place is your wagon when you start the game. Typically after that, it's going to be some type of bedroom or something. Let's see, who is that? Okay, so he has no job. All right, so he is still standing out here. So I guess this is the default meeting place for the game. So they may move here, but they may not. Now, once I build a dining room of some sorts with a table in it, you can set that up as a meeting hall, and then that's where everybody that is not working, So we have 3 idlers. They would all go to that location. So while I'm thinking about it, we had the mason shop. I want to build 2 of those. Actually, well, yeah, I want to build 2 of those. And then I need to build the Dwarf shop, so that's R. I'm going to place it there, siltstone. And then, so that should give those 2 guys something to work on. And then they're digging out these other rooms, and we're going to build our mechanic shop here and a few other things. And then I will build something similar on the other side for my woodworking shops, a similar setup. But I want them to be able to get into this central hallway. In fact, I'm going to go D and Shift M, and then I'm going to clear out these blue spots, and you notice I can individually click those, or you can use your cursor and enter. But that way they'll dig those out, and that's opened this whole section. All right, so I want to come back out to our migrants, and sure enough, they're just hanging out over here. So let's go to U to units. Now remember, we started off with 7 people. So we've got a butcher, a bone carver, and an armorer. All right, so that might be good. All right, so let's see. I want to go to therapist, and let's see. That should be, sorry, I have screen capture on so we can see everything. So we're going to therapist. This has our 7 dwarves, and I'm going to read dwarves, and that adds, now we're up to 12 dwarfs. So we actually have 5 new migrants. Now I do something a little different that a lot of people don't do. Let's see. So this is a mason. I'm going to customize his profession name, and he is going to be a crafter. Okay, and then my mechanic. That's not what I don't usually call him. Okay, this guy and this guy, using the shift key to take both. Customize. They are A minor. And the reason I put A is because that helps me know. Now they move up to the top. Oh, and I did his name wrong, so I have to redo that. A crafter. And I did it again, didn't I? I'm spelling it wrong. Come on. T-E-R. Thank you. All right, now it puts it in. All right, so let's see. Who else did we have? We had a farmer. Now you can do this however you want. It's just one way that I use to kind of keep everything straight. So he is a crafter as well. Crafter. And he was my carpenter. So he is also a crafter of sorts. So I have my crafters that work in my stone and wood shops. And then I have, so one of the things I want to do here, you remember when my woodworker, my carpenter got hurt, I actually added his duties to 2 other people. So I am now going to click on these to remove them, and I'm going to click on his to add that back. So this guy, Uzal, will now drop the axe, and Lestat will go and pick it back up. And that way he has some more work, and these guys are no longer doing carpentry jobs. They can focus on their stone crafting jobs. All right, now a couple other things, because now I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, and then my other guy was this mechanic. And when you highlight over him, you can see the list that pops up, so you can see a good snapshot. So he is basically our mechanic. He is a tanner, and so his primary job is going to be a kitchen worker. Again, you can call it whatever you want. These are just the shortcuts that I've used to kind of help keep everybody straight, especially as you go from 7 to 12, and eventually we could end up with 200 people or more, depending on how you set up your game. Now, another thing you can do once we've done, when you go, this is sorted by profession. We can actually sort by a lot of different things using this program, this mod, Dwarf Therapist, and it comes automatically with the Lazy Noob pack that we talked about in the first episode. So I can sort by migration wave. So here's my 7 initial guys when we started, and then we have 5 new guys. Now what I can do here is I can highlight all of these, and I can change them to something, say, called unassigned, and then save that. And then when I go back to professions, I have the people that I've already got done, and then all my migrants are under unassigned, and then I can kind of see what they do. Now right now I know automatically I do not want any fishing turned on, and I don't want any hunting turned on. So I'm going to save that immediately just to get that cleared out. Then I can go in, and we can do a couple of things at this point. You can look at military tabs and see if any of your guys have military skills. Now, you notice color coordination, blue with the male symbol, pink with the female symbol. Some people don't like using females in the military because when they get pregnant and have babies, they bring their babies into combat with them. If the baby gets killed because they're in the combat area, then of course they could have a spiral tantrum, which could lead to them, literally that one person, killing your entire fortress. So some people just have a set rule, no females in the military. If you notice though, she's a hammer dwarf, and this one, Udib, is a mace dwarf. So my two only melee characters are both female. I find that there is a overabundance of female-generated characters that have the military skills. So that's something that we have to keep in mind. Just checking the time on the video there. We've got about 9 minutes left. So, you know, you have to decide what's best for you. So in this case, I am going to make her a hammer dwarf. And her, I am going to make, using set profession name, I'm going to make her a mace dwarf. And that way, when I'm looking at them in game, that's how they're flagged, and it gives me a reminder of what they are. And because I'm not putting A in front of it, they're going to be at the bottom of the list after I do everybody else. Now, if we go back to full labors, you can see what items are turned on for them and what their skill sets are. Okay. Now, like this one has an 11 in butchery. Okay. Now, eventually I will want to turn everything off on my military once I get them actually training and fighting to where they're not distracted by anything. The other thing I can do here on these tabs, I go to roles an awful lot. And the roles gives their 1 to 100 scale for every job in, that's available in the game. All right, so one of these guys right here, he had a 77, was an armorer, so he can make armor very well. Now, I'm going to go ahead and make him a weaponsmith as well, and this is going to be my blacksmith. All right. So that gets that person out of the unassigned category, moves them up into here with the rest of the people with the A designation. And then that leaves me 2 people. Now, we have a couple of different options. I can see what they do. So this guy is a bone carver. Well, I don't particularly use bone carving. You can make crossbows. You can make bone bolts out of bones. I'm certainly not set up for that, but I'm not going to turn it off. And this guy is a shearer. Well, I don't really have animals, sheep or anything to shear wool from, and I don't have a clothing industry set up. So again, not a huge need for him right now. What I am going to do is because these guys are over 50, which is average or better than average, I'm going to turn on architecture and mechanics for all of them. So we'll lock those in. And then I'm going to kind of come through and figure out what I want to do with them. I've got my one doctor, but he's a miner, so he's always going to be busy. Now, 58 is a very good, a pretty good diagnostician. This one has better skills in the actual doctoring skills. Now, this will be a secondary role for them. I could use a second farmer, and he's above average. He can also brew and cook and butcher and tan. So he is going to primarily be, just like my other farmer, a kitchen worker. All right, so that's going to take care of him. I've given him a primary set of duties, and that leaves one other person. What I want to do with him is I want to make him a secondary crafter, and he'll do both masonry and stone crafting. I could actually have him do carpentry as well, but I think my carpenter will be able to keep up with that work. The other thing I want to do is all of these guys that are above 50 in engraving, I'm going to set them, except for my miners, because they're going to be pretty busy most of the game. I'll give them that skill, even though they're military, give them something to do, and him. And so he is going to join my group of crafters as a crafter. All right, so basically now what I've done is I've assigned their workload. Now, if you don't have a skill assigned, so let's say I want somebody to burn wood. Well, I don't have anybody set up to be a wood burner, so nobody will build that shop if I set it up. Nobody will actually do the wood burning, and those jobs will just stay in the queue. Now, I could take one of my crafters or one of my kitchen workers, because they won't be busy all the time, and I could set them up to do that. So let's set them up to do that, because what potash is it's a fertilizer. You burn wood, you make ash out of it, and then you take the ash and you turn it into potash, which is a fertilizer that helps your crop yield in your farming. So that's good to get running when you can. So okay, I've set that up. Let's go back to the game. All right, I'm going to hit F. So these guys are here. I've now given them job assignments. All right, I do want to come over to my carpenter shop that's still outside, and I want to add a few more beds. All right, so I know I had 2 more in my room down here. Let's go take a look at it. So you remember I had set these up in my planning mode, but they're still the black pre-planned color. I never made enough beds to fill those. So if we come back up to the carpenter shop, so 2 of these will be to fill that room, and that gives me 5 additional beds, which is going to be needed to start building some individual bedrooms. And now that I've got my first migrant wave, I do need to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and unpause, let these guys start digging. I'm going to come and check my guys out here. All right, so they don't have anywhere to go. All right, so you notice down here my crafter lost his axe, but that's okay because he needed to drop it because I had taken that responsibility away from him. And the carpenter right here, he will eventually go get that axe. If it doesn't get stolen in the meantime. So he's building beds. He's getting another piece of wood. This guy is smoothing out that stone. Okay, so now that I've set some of those engravers, that's their job. That's why those jobs were never done, smoothing those stones that I had set up here in this area earlier, a couple of episodes back. All right. And again, these guys are not moving, so let's pause. And I want to let's come down. I'm going to set I. And I'm going to set a zone just right here in the hallway, a small one. And I'm going to set this as a meeting area. So M. And assign location, we'll get into that later, but you can actually turn, instead of just having a dining room as a meeting area, you could actually make an inn with a tavern with a little hotel attached to it. You can make a library, you can make a temple. Those are all things that have come in recent updates to the game. But right now I just want this as a basic meeting area. And when I'm done, hit escape. And now what we should see when we unpause this is now our guys should start coming, and here they come. Slowly but surely they're starting to come across and into the fortress, and they will hang out in this area. Okay. All right. Let's see. So they've got a couple of rooms dug out, so we're going to build, workshop, mechanics shop, T. I'm going to put that I'm going to put that in the back because I'm going to put that here, and I'm going to use stone. And then since I'm building that, I'm going to go back outside to this mechanic shop, and I am going to remove that building. Okay, so that one will be taken away. build workshop R. I'm going to go ahead and build a second crafts dwarf shop. There we go. And then I have one extra room. So you notice I put all my stone rooms in one area. And let's pause this because this will be kind of an important part. I tell you what, let's go ahead and put a cut in here because the next part will actually be going into setting up repeating workloads. And that'll be pretty important. So let's go ahead and put a cut in right here, and we will cover that in the next episode. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.